We are live. Fantastic. All right. Good morning to our Texas Freedom Colonies Project family. We're so glad to have you with us today at Coffee Talk. And we are going to have a fun day today to talk about the Adopt a County campaign and also give you an update on some other exciting opportunities for you to work with us and for us to work with you. And so with that, I just want to talk first about what Texas Freedom Colonies Project is, who we are, what our purpose is, okay? I think we have some visual aids for that, Skylar?
Yes, we do.
Okay, great. So who are we at Texas Freedom Colonies Project? What are we all about, right? So Texas Freedom Colonies Project is an evolving social justice initiative which celebrates, researches, and documents historic Black settlements, landscapes, heritage, as well as the place-making and grassroots preservation practices amongst descendants and founders of these communities. Next. And we do our work in three ways. We are based at Texas A&M University, where I am on the faculty. I'm an assistant professor of urban planning. I teach classes about planning history, historic preservation policy and practice. And I also teach about neighborhood revitalization practices and processes. So what we namely do in cooperation with the public and with our students as part of their coursework is three things. We have three objectives. So we locate and map communities so that we can illuminate the intersection between their risk and the locations of these places with risk and development. And we record placemaking and placekeeping histories, that is, the stories of how these places began. That may often be not just the story of how the community began, but it'll be the story of how a church that anchored the settlement began, or the story of the origins of a school or a lodge in that community. And so what we do is we record from both public and private sources those histories and stories. We engage in collaborative research so that we can assess the conditions and devise solutions in partnership with the descendants to make change. These are communities that were founded roughly between 1865 and 1930. But though they are historic communities, they're not places that live in the past only. As I said before, myself and my students live primarily in the urban planning department at Texas A&M. And so we're very much preoccupied with how to address the current conditions of the buildings, the people, and the traditions and the financial, cultural assets of these places today. Next. So where does all this come from? We do a lot of different things. You may know us because of the Atlas. That's been one of the most public things that we do. However, we've been doing this work roughly since about 2014, when I began it as a doctoral research project, in which I did on the ground work, interviewing, learning from, talking to, listening to descendants throughout Deep East Texas, and also throughout the state. And there's a diaspora of descendants. What that simply means is you may have grown up in Jasper County, but now you live in Houston, or maybe now you live in New York City, maybe you live in Dallas, maybe you live in Austin, maybe you live in California. The people that I would meet in these communities and that I began relationships and working with, they lived all over. And I would meet them at these events that often occurred on site in these communities. When we began working together, when I would stay there overnight, stay at their homes, learn from people about the ways that they organize, the way that they achieve their goals, the way they made sure that people came back and took care of their cemeteries, we began to talk about what mattered to them. And through my research process, I learned about their priorities and their needs. that were falling through the cracks of the ways that we traditionally think about doing research and working with African American communities. And this list represents some of the things that these descendants would tell me is on their agenda, what's important to them. So it would include wanting a centralized location for all their information, being able to communicate with other descendants, developing partnerships with the institutions of higher learning, advocacy groups and agencies. They wanted to develop a larger learning community. Some of them were great leaders and very successful, and they would have tons of people come to them and say, how are you being successful? How are you able to do this? How are you able to do that? Where do you go? Where's the assistance? They wanted us. They wanted universities, researchers, people that care about justice to assist them with these items. Provide a practical assistance, preserve heritage memorabilia associated with schools and churches. They wanted an economically sustainable organization of their own if they didn't already have one, or one that helped a larger group statewide of Texas Freedom Colonies organize across difference. So very often we have groups for towns, we have groups for established settlements that are incorporated, we have lots of groups in urban areas. But what was falling through the cracks is all of these communities that may have never been on the map in the first place, but still had a group of stakeholders that cared about the future of the place. And they wanted a joint public policy and a legislative agenda. But to do that, they would have to have reports, aggregated information, reliable data, and nobody was centralizing that. There were a lot of people doing individual advocacy for a particular place or a particular community. They were heavily involved in urban politics and able to advocate for their particular freedom colony, their particular settlement, or a particular building. But being able to think larger and having data to support that and operate on a statewide kind of level, not something that really people felt that they could access or that existed. And so these are the things that people were talking to us about. And so once I completed my research, my doctoral research, and continued working with these communities, we then thought about how would we continue this research? And how would we try to make some headway on some aspects of this research agenda? Next. So that's where the Atlas came in. And so we've had a few iterations of the Texas Freedom Colonies Atlas. The Atlas was, I'll tell you frankly, it was one paragraph at the end of my dissertation. It wasn't my dissertation work at all. It was something that I was able to build with a student called MJ Biazar, an incredibly dynamic and brilliant master's student who helped me build the Texas Freedom Colonies Project Atlas, which is simply a database. And what you see in the public is a map that contains not only the information you see on the screen, but if you go behind each dot, there are pictures, there are images, there are documents, there are photos. And so today, our goal is to talk about a structured way that you can work in groups to help us to add missing freedom colonies, stories, and locations to the Atlas. And we're asking you, the public and descendants, to help us locate that data. Adopting a county simply means that you will be on the specified research team dedicated to locating freedom colonies and information about those freedom colonies in the area. The kind of data you'll collect: maps, obituaries, photos, documents, homecoming programs, and we have ethical kind of frameworks and protocols for how to do this in a way that centers and makes sure that the priority are the descendants themselves and their voices and their wants and their needs around archiving. Next. So with that, I want to hand it over to my team members actually to talk more about Adopt a County and what the goals are and how the project is actually going to work. Our great, brilliant leader on a lot of our outreach and our partnership building is doctoral student at Texas A&M University, Skylar Carter. Skylar, I would like to hand it over to you now.
Thank you. Good morning, everybody. It is a pleasure to talk a little bit more about Adopt a County. So as Dr. Roberts talked to you about what the Atlas is and how it formed, I want to just run through some of the major goals that we have for this campaign that we're talking to you about today. So number one, to identify and support a network of descendant leaders. As Dr. Roberts mentioned, the descendants of these communities that we try to locate and find information for are at the center of our research. So we want to create that network and that community of descendant leaders who are trying, or who are at the forefront of each of their communities, trying to preserve and advocate for their sustainability. The second goal, to identify Freedom Colony locations. There Right now, we are working with a list of over 500 known names of freedom colonies, and we have locations for over 300 of them, and we're still looking to identify 200 of the remaining communities. The third goal, to locate additional freedom colonies, as I said, the 200 remaining. Number four, to identify the origin stories. A lot of these communities we only have names for, so we want to locate the history keepers of these communities, and these kin keepers who know information about first families that founded these communities. And the fifth goal, to increase traffic to the Atlas and also social media platforms. So that kind of ties into goal one, and creating that network and that community, because we want to let everybody know that it's not an individual thing. You know, a lot of people are going through the same type of situation and trying to preserve areas very similar. And we want to be that kind of hub to increase traffic and awareness and acknowledge these communities. And lastly, again, to build community, to locate supporters, advisors, and advocates for all of these very unique and communities. Next. So what does the Adopt a County campaign entail? So some of the volunteer opportunities that you can take advantage of. Obviously, you can do our survey. You can take our survey. You can distribute our survey. This is the traditional way that we have communicated with those who have information about freedom colonies. You can do it digitally. You can send us a paper copy. We have all different ways that you can contact us and complete this survey. Next, you can also become a super user and a moderator for our Atlas. So this, if you are tech savvy, or not even tech savvy, but if you are comfortable and willing to learn about mapping and how the Atlas works, if you decide to become a volunteer to be a super user, you will train others to use the Atlas, review and verify data that is collected from our partners who are having students collect information for our Atlas and these communities, as well as many other things. The other opportunity we have opportunities for you to join in our collaborative photo contest. So a lot of times when we find information, some things aren't labeled. Some things aren't labeled, some things are not identified, or don't have identifying characters. And so if you find something, a picture of a person that you think may be living in or near a freedom colony area, send us a picture with the name, the place, the name of the owner of the artifact or the picture, and we'll post it to our different pages, and we'll get to the different county pages in just a little bit. But we want to gather all of our efforts to try and identify things related to our freedom colonies.
If I could just chime in there a little bit. I have discussions often with people. They send us emails and they literally say, I found something. I found a headstone. I found a church, or I found this clearing, or this. And very often you don't have time to jot down a whole lot of information, but you can make sure that your GIS, your geotag function is on your cell phone. And you take a picture And you can write down the location and the time and any information you have and send it to that email. And what we like to do with our Adopt a County folks, this will be a way for them to start to work together towards a goal of and build a community, and we'll have prizes. We're working on getting some things like free books, free history books that we can get to people who participate in this, what we think is going to be a really fun contest. Go ahead, Scotland.
Well, I know everybody loves free stuff. I know I love free stuff. So I think that you guys will really be excited and get excited about sending us, and we want to hear from you guys. So if you do have a picture of something, a place like Dr. Roberts just mentioned, send it to our email here. It's listed here, freedomcoloniesproject@gmail.com, and we'll get to it. Next. So let me go over a little bit more of the broader details of the program. So how does this Adopt a County work? Generally, it's laid out into these phases or these steps. You choose a county that you're interested in working in. You can live in that county or just have ancestors, whatever connection you have to a certain county. You choose your county. You join the virtual community. You choose a freedom colony within the county that you would like to do research on, identify according to what information we have on the atlas, identify what information is needed, whether that be, was there a school, was there a church, are there any national register of historic places, anything registered on the national register in that area, in that community, and then begin your search. And we have a bunch of different resources that we'll kind of go over in weeks to come, and we have a few that we'll talk about today. But we have resources where you can do research about that particular area, and then once you have completed gathered information, then you upload it. And if you have your smartphone right now, you can go ahead and pull out your phone, and you see this QR code here on the screen. Just open up your camera, hold it up to the QR code, and it'll focus on there, and then a link will drop down at the top of your phone. Click that link, and that will take you straight to the Google form to sign up for a county. And I'm just going to give you guys a few seconds to go ahead and do that. But we will have this posted on our page and also on our website. Next. So how can you get involved? We have two roles that you can volunteer for at the moment. One being the county captain, and the second being a county crew member. And now I'm going to tell you a little bit about what will be expected from a county captain. So the responsibilities of a county captain, you'll be the liaison between your group members, between our research team and your group members. So those who are signing up for the same county, that is the group that I'm speaking of. And then you'll be the first line of contact for your members to ask questions. So your group members in your particular community will send questions to you, then you will talk to the research team, just to keep a clear line of contact. You'll also be responsible for like organizing some virtual, and not alone. You won't always have to do this alone, but you'll be organizing virtual and in-person activities amongst your group volunteers. Because we're in the age of COVID, we're doing a lot more things virtual, but thankfully we have a lot of databases that have online resources for us to access, and so that is definitely a blessing for us. And you also distribute, collect, and process surveys for your respective county. And the criteria for being a county captain, to preferably, be a Freedom Colony descendant, because you have first or secondhand knowledge if you live there, if you have family living there, and then also just to be a skilled researcher with genealogical research and managerial experience, because you will be managing your group members in a sense. Yeah. And for the county crew members, so the group members, your responsibilities, if you choose to not be a captain, but to just be a research crew member, your responsibilities include to research, scan, collect documents and other artifacts related to documenting the histories of the Freedom Colonies, locating sources, i.e. People who are knowledgeable about the Freedom Colony that you are researching. So some of those community historians, some of those the mothers of the church who know a lot of information about previous families that lived in the area. You're also going to be responsible for distributing and collecting surveys around Freedom Colony communities within the adopted county, with the county adopted, and then to record Freedom Colony oral histories. Like I said, a lot of information that we have access to is in the form of oral histories, and it's really hard for one person to do an oral history of everybody of everybody in the county. And you know, Texas is big, so we want to spread out and, you know, take the burden off of just one person. So that'll be part of your responsibility to do that. And then the criteria for being a county crew member: just express interest in the project. You know, we don't expect you to have, you know, the same passion that the research team has for the project, but we want you to generally be interested in the research that we're doing and the project and the outreach, and be a diligent researcher and be able to follow instructions, because because we are a research initiative. We have specific rules and guidelines that we need to follow in order to stay compliant with a number of things. And so we need team members and we need volunteers that can follow instructions and follow previously set guidelines. Next. And so, as I mentioned just a moment ago, we have these research. We will be explaining a little bit more in detail how these research communities will work. We will, because we're organizing our project or our campaign by COG regions, each of the regions will have a Facebook group. And so, kind of similar to the contest about sharing information or sharing pictures, sharing things that maybe you're not aware of all the details for, you'll be able to talk and communicate with other volunteers via your Facebook group. This is a great way to, if you, like I said, if you're out doing field research and you're like kind of stuck on something, take a picture, shoot it in the Facebook group, and see if any of your fellow volunteers know anything about the area. You don't know what you don't know, but you don't know until you ask. And then also, next, we also have the Texas Freedom Colony Atlas discussion group. So this has been established for a little while now, and as a way for some of our followers to stay connected and ask questions about the Atlas and different communities and things about regarding the Atlas. So this is another resource for you as you get into your research. And so what exactly will you be doing as a volunteer? Online research, survey distribution, field work, data organization. We have a lot of information on the Atlas so far, and we are continuously getting information and getting emails, and we need that. We need to get it organized and get a system. And so that's part of what you'll be doing, and doing a lot of online research as well. Next. So now I'm going to pass it over to my colleague, Jennifer Blanks, and she will outline a few of the resources that can help you as you get into your research. And yeah, so I'm going to pass it over to her.
Thank you, Skylar. Good morning, everyone. As Skylar said, my name is Jennifer Blanks. I'm a doctoral student at Texas A&M with Dr. Roberts. And I'm going to carefully explain a few of the resources that you all will be using in your Adopt a County cruise. And I'll go through this very carefully. And again, you can reference this material on our YouTube page, and feel free to email us if you have any follow-up questions about the resources. And so there will be 3 resources I'll be explaining. One being the Handbook of Texas, which was created by the Texas State Historical Association, and it's recently been updated with the Texas Freedom Colonies Project and the Texas Freedom Colonies information. So feel free to check that out. I'll be referencing the Black Churches in Texas book, authored by Claude McQueen, who recently passed away this year. And then also the Geographical Names Information System database, which was created by the United States Geological Survey, also known as USGS. And so we'll start with the Texas Handbook. This is think of like a digital encyclopedia for the state of Texas. This is a free resource. It's accessible via the internet, and it's easy to use for students, teachers, scholars, even the general public, and members who will be helping with Adopt a County. And so this is a screenshot of the home page. Once you log on to the website, this will be the first thing you see. And if you notice here, in the bottom right-hand corner, that's where you'll be able to type into the search bar and view any entries. Let's see, go. Having some loading issues here. There we go. So like I said, in that bottom right-hand corner, you can easily utilize the search function using keywords to find information about a specific freedom colony. So for example, if you wanted to search the 4th Ward, you would type it in the search bar. And then also, once you type in the search bar, you can filter your searches, and this is a pretty big search tip. And so you can narrow down your search results. And here I've checked the African Americans subcategory, but you can also check some of these other subcategories, such as activists, academics, and so on. And so here I did an example. I searched the 4th Ward in the search bar. And then I applied the subcategory label African Americans just to really filter down and zone in on exactly what I'm looking for. And here's a screenshot of the top search result, which is the 4th Ward of Houston. And once you click on that, it'll bring you to the page of the 4th Ward, explaining its history, any pictures they might have. It's just a great amount of information. And so the next resource that I'll be talking about is the Geographic Names Information System provided by USGS. And so this one is created by the federal government in 1890. It's meant to be used for public services, public lands, land management, population, and the ecology. And so you navigate this database by downloading an Excel file. And so you can filter through all 50 states in the United States and US territories. And here you can see is the different states and territories. So you'll scroll down to Texas. And here we scroll down to Texas. And once you click the state Texas, it'll automatically download a Texas feature zip file. And in the zip file, once it's downloaded, you'll double click it to extract it, or you can go into your computer's downloaded folder and right click on that and then click extract files. And then you can import this file into your Excel program. And here's what the file will look like. So this one is not as intuitive to read initially, but breaking it down, you'll have the feature name, the feature type. So whether it's a stream or a post office or a building or anything like that, it'll explain it in that in that section. And then you'll have the name of the county. And again, this is, you download it and you'll just upload it right into Excel. And then we also have the Portal of Texas History. So this one is I think one of my favorite ones to use, and I guess the Texas Handbook one is as well. Just kind of think of it like an encyclopedia as well. Um, and this portal of Texas history has rare historical information about the state of Texas. It was curated by the University of North Texas Libraries. It's similar to the Texas State Handbook. You can type into the search bar a specific keyword. So for the tutorial, I searched the fourth ward in Houston, Texas. And you can again search any of the keywords to help you narrow down your search. And as you can see, the top result is the Fourth Ward School. But then as you scroll down, you'll have other results as well, such as here, properties in the Fourth Ward and so on. And now I will pass it back over to Skylar, where she will share with you the beta implementation of using these resources that students have already used. So yeah, I'll pass it back over to Skylar.
Thank you. Thanks for that, Jennifer. So again, like I mentioned, we have gathered a lot of information, or our students have gathered information this semester. So starting off and testing out some of our processes for this program. And one of the resources that one of our students identified or discovered was for the Cedar Branch community. And this was, he found this website for the church, and it has a abundance of information, really. If you will go to first you can see here it has the history, a little bit of history about the church, but the main thing really is the program photos and some of the history that is identified here. So church programs are one of the major things that can reveal a lot of information about a community. Because churches are churches, cemeteries, and schools are three of the major anchors of a freedom colony. An anchor meaning the major presence, the major presence in the community. And so these programs, I don't even know how far they go back, but there's a bunch of PDFs on this website, and so this can reveal a lot of information for us, as well as the history and list of deacons and things like that for this particular community, and give us an idea of who to talk to in the community that has more information about Cedar Branch. Next. And then we have this another example in Cherokee County, Church Hill. This information also was discovered by some of our students, and in relation to Church Hill CME Church. These are a couple of newspaper obituaries from some not early settlers, but some staples within the community, and some so it gives information about the church, about the cemetery name. So just with the information, and also with social organizations that had a presence in the community that can also provide information. So you can also always find little nuggets here and there throughout these little clippings. But it shows us a lot of information that will help us to do further research about the community. Next. And so the adopted county is going to be, we're in the midst of a couple of phases. So the first phase has been recruitment. We are currently in our recruitment stage. We've started recruitment a little while back, and we're moving towards delving more into our orientation. And that's what we're doing. That's what we're doing now, and what we will be doing in the near future, and getting everybody acclimated to what the goal, more so what the goal of this campaign is, and more so how it relates to the goals and objectives for the project and where we see it moving. The third phase, once we get everybody acclimated with the processes and how everything will work, we'll start organizing the existing data. As we mentioned, we have a lot of information that already is in the Atlas, and a lot of information that our students have collected this semester. And so that's what we're going to be focusing on, organizing. And then after we get a handle on that, we'll start organizing events that you can do in your respective counties, communities, where you may not get together because we are in COVID, but we can see how to best create that, community to do events together, collaborative events together in the midst of COVID, and while keeping in mind the social distancing guidelines. Next. And so now, so that's just a brief overview of the project, of the campaign and the program, and how we see it moving forward. And so now I want to start by giving a little bit of news and updates.
Actually, before you give the news and updates, might you want to show a video that kind of tells people a little bit about what our people have already been doing with the Atlas, and how we've made some improvements and that sort of thing?
Yes.
I'm mentioning this also, while she's queuing that up, I want to also introduce a few folks. We've added some people to our team, and I'm going to ask them to just really quickly say hello. Maria, if you could just say your name and your program.
Hi, my name is Maria Valentina Luen Ramirez. I am from the Department of Communication, and I'm very excited to join the team and assist in all communication, visuals, and whatever we need to move forward with all our projects.
Great, thank you. We also have Van Pham. Van, you want to say hello?
Good morning, everyone. My name is Van. I am in the visualization department, and I'll be assisting the team and as well as Dr. Roberts for any scheduling, emailing needs from your end. And I'm excited to work with the team.
Great. And of course, oldie but goodie, Kendall, you want to say hello?
Hi, my name is Kendall Geralt, and I help with social media and stuff for Freedom Colonies. And I've been working on the project for 6 months now, 8 months now.
Time flies. Great. Well, we don't do anything by ourselves. All of us have different things that we work on. Some are students, I'm a professor and everything else, but we are a team. And we don't get anything done except in a team. And so we want to share with you some of what we've been working on a little bit over the summer before we get into our announcements. So are we ready, Jennifer?
I am still trying to find it. One moment.
Oh, okay, no problem. Since you're still trying to find it, we'll go ahead and go back into the PowerPoint, Skylar. Or back into the news and announcements.
Okay. Let's see.
And just a reminder, we are going to make plenty of time to answer your questions. And we really do welcome your questions, because the more we hear from you, the more we can make sure that we're setting up all of our information for the orientation and communications. We want them to work. And so with your feedback and your questions, we'll ensure that they work. Are you ready? While she's pulling that up,
I have the
you got it?
video.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Great.
Let me share screen. Hopefully the sound works. Let's see.
If you click the little share button sound, it should work.
Oh, okay. Let me Let me make sure I've done that.
There's that little share for video. So this video will be showing work over the summer with not only Kendall Geralt, but also Chelsea Paradas.
Okay, are y'all able to see my screen?
Yes.
Yes, we are.
Okay.
Oh, I think it's kind of low. I think I'm barely hearing it.
Yeah.
Are you able to hear it?
Not very much.
Yeah, probably turn up a little bit more.
Okay. Okay, let me know now if this works.
No, it's just playing on yours, I think.
Yeah, it's still kind of low.
Okay.
It's still kind of low.
No worries. I can just talk through it if that helps.
Yeah, that'll be great.
Okay, let me pull up the PowerPoint version of this one in 1 second.
Do you have sound on the PowerPoint version?
No, I do not. We just did the video voiceover.
Okay. No problem. So again, we want to share with you some of the ways that we've been trying to prepare the Atlas for better public use and adding information and learning about the content of the Atlas so that we can produce some research that supports raising awareness about freedom colonies and their needs.
Okay. Are you guys able to see the presentation?
Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Kendall, you'll need to jump in. We're all about flexibility. Okay, so this summer, we worked very closely with 2 of our junior researchers, Kendall and Chelsea. They've contributed a lot of work this summer to the Texas Freedom Colonies Project. And so the 3 of us put together a presentation just summarizing all of the great work that they've been doing this summer. And so, yeah, that's basically what this introduction slide is about. So in order to achieve our objectives and really be intentional when moving forward with the project, we've had 4 overarching goals this summer, and that was to organize the data, really find another way to do outreach, and that's where Coffee Talk came from. And so we'll talk more about and one was to improve the usage of the Storyteller database. And so we've been organizing and cleaning the database, removing duplicated information, filling in the gaps, and kind of pulling the information from one survey to another into our main database, and mapping the freedom colonies within the Atlas. And with this, really being intentional with locating 10 freedom colonies at least every month to fill in the gap of those 200 remaining freedom colonies that we need to map. Okay, and then this is the data feature type report. And so with the Storyteller database, we want to understand where the counts of each feature type. And by feature type, we mean USGS feature types, the counts of cemeteries, the counts of sites, schools, structures in the Freedom Colony, churches, any parks or public spaces. And that's what this pie graph shows. As we can see, a majority of the pie graph in our database, most of the features are the USGS feature types. And then the second being cemeteries. As Skylar mentioned, cemeteries, churches, and schools are the main features and evidence that a freedom colony existed. And that's really the point of creating this data feature type. We want to know what are the remaining features to verify that these communities existed. And also with the Storyteller surveys, we create these monthly reports where we see every 30 days, we go through our surveys, the Black settlement surveys, the Storyteller surveys that the community members and stakeholders complete. And we want to understand how much information we're collecting every month, how many surveys were submitted, do we have any new users submitting surveys to the database, are they filling in any gaps to an existing data point, are they adding a new freedom colony to our database? And so really doing this monthly report helps us keep track of those types of questions. And then this summer, we also added the Texas Department of Transportation project layer. And so this layer is placed on top of the Freedom Colonies locations, and the viewer is able to see the possible relationships between the Freedom Colonies and opportunities for descendants to voice their concerns about possible threats surrounding infrastructure projects or the highway development projects. And this layer, we added 2 layers. And so this is one of those 2 layers. This layer shows the future projects projected within the next 5 to 10 years throughout the state of Texas. And when you click on this, when you click on the different aspects of the layer, you can pull up a ton of information, such as the county it's located in, the district, the project type. So whether it's repavement or highway expansion, highway repairs, it has a lot of information to help community members understand what projects are going on in their Freedom Colony. And we actually have an announcement and a news update regarding the transportation layer. So I'll save that for the news announcements. But that's one of the main things we've been working on this summer as well. And Kendall, if you can just jump in on the social media because you've done so much work around it.
Yeah, absolutely. So over the summer, we started posting more heavily on social media, adding content like the Freedom Colony profiles, which showcase Freedom Colonies with stories that have been submitted by Atlas users. And in some cases, they're actually using images that have been submitted by Atlas users as well. We also started our Did You Know post that lists facts about Freedom Colonies with data that we've gathered from the Atlas. Increasing our social media presence helped to spread the word about the project, which leads to more stories incoming and more opportunities for collaboration and outreach.
And Adopt a County is an obvious one. That's what this coffee talk is centered around. And so Adopt a County, again, it's a way for the Texas Freedom Colonies project to increase the number of Freedom Colony stories in our database. We really want to know the origin story of these Freedom Colonies, whether we have them mapped, and especially if we do not have them on the Atlas. And again, it's a great way for community members to be engaged. We're hoping to recruit younger descendants to be involved and engaged in the project. So that's really what Adopt a County is all about. And we've also launched Coffee Talk. Here we are on a Coffee Talk. We launched our first Coffee Talk in May or April. It was following the start of the pandemic, and our first talk was about how funeral homes and Freedom Colonies are coping with COVID. And we've talked about so many more topics. Another example is honoring our ancestors. So really talking about burial grounds and cemeteries and the important connection that they have, not only in Freedom Colonies, but just across the diaspora, and how we honor our loved ones and their burial grounds and the importance of preserving them. And we just have a bunch of other topics and perspectives that we're going to have on the Coffee Talk. And the point is to allow not only descendants to come and share their concerns and their thoughts around these topics, but also connecting them with professionals who may be able to assist them and provide more insight on their issues. And so that was really a great summary of what we've all been doing this summer. And again, this is our social media handles. I hope you all are following us there. If not, get into it. And again, definitely check out our YouTube channel. I think our YouTube channel has a ton of information. Again, you can rewatch the Coffee Talks. We have tutorials on how to use the Atlas, and we're just looking for more ways to really contribute to that YouTube channel. So I highly recommend you look at the resources we already have available.
Fabulous, fabulous, fabulous work. Awesome. All right, so Skylar, we're ready to go into our announcements or news and updates.
News and updates.
I can pull that up.
Yes, and as you guys can see, we have so much information that we want to share with you guys. And a lot of things going on. And actually, the first thing that I want to talk about, or I won't talk about it, I'm going to actually ask Jennifer to kind of explain a little bit about our transportation booklet that is in the works.
Yes, so we are adding layers to the atlas. We want to show you the relationships between different factors. So whether it's environmental issues, maybe an oil spill or a hurricane and there's floods, or even now we have the Hurricane Harvey flood layer on the atlas. And so we really want to show more relationships between the Texas Freedom Colonies and other factors. And so the Transportation Highway Project layer is just one example of several that we will be releasing in the future. And so the booklet will really explain to you how to utilize this layer. It'll tell you what you can do as a community member or a stakeholder, how you can make intentional and have action steps really on how you can voice your concerns and opinions in a way where it's ahead of time. So it's not combative. It's not something you're finding out at the last minute. And it's just really going to be simplistic and help you understand how to use the layer, how to use it on the atlas, how to understand the different features in the layer, just really breaking it down in a simplistic way. And so again, this is one of many project layers that we'll be adding to the atlas, and it'll just get better over time. And so we're gonna actually release it next week, next Friday on October 23rd. So definitely be on the lookout for that. And I'll pass it back over to Skylar.
Thank you. And actually, the next update is coming from Dr. Roberts. She's going to elaborate a little bit more on our intern match program.
Yeah, so a lot of people come to us and say, hey, we're a struggling organization. Do you have some students who can come do some work for us? Or can we collaborate? So as you can see, we are a team of students. I teach full-time amongst many other things. And so we only have so many hands and so much time in the day. And we are really excited about this program because it creates learning experiences for students, or we hope it will. And it also helps to create a way for us to collaborate with small community groups, small nonprofits that may have a specific archiving project or need a little extra help. We know that COVID has kind of hit a lot of nonprofits and small groups hard. And so we thought what we could do is have students that work on or help that particular organization or effort with an archiving project of their own, while at the same time have that support our Atlas and archiving project. So what we want to do is in the spring, we'll provide an application for different organizations to request students. They'll have to write a job description, and we will pay for the first 75 hours of work, anywhere between $1,000 and $1,500. So we'll pay for the first 75 hours of work. And the remaining of the time, you'll agree to pay for the remaining at least 50 hours of work, so that the student can allocate time both towards your organization's efforts and helping the Atlas. So I know someone mentioned working on a cemetery project, and maybe you need someone to take photos or help you do a survey of your community cemetery. Maybe they can assist you with that project while at the same time helping put some of that data into the Atlas. So it's a way for us to not just say, hey, come give me all your data, but to invest in you so you can invest in us. Because one of the principles of our work is reciprocity and true collaboration and partnership. So we'll be putting out in the spring a call for you to give us your request so that we have time to then share that with students who can compete for those summer opportunities. So we're really excited about this, and we're hoping to support some students in this way in the late spring to summer of next year.
Thank you. And then I do want to get an update from Jennifer. She's been the lead, one of the lead team members on the National Trust Cemetery Grant. So if you can just give us an update.
Happy to do it, Skylar. So as you all know, we have the National Trust Grant where we are wanting to take the Texas Freedom Colonies Project Atlas to the next level. So think big picture. We're gonna, again, show you how, I've already mentioned, we're gonna add these new layers. We wanna propose a new way for you to interact with these layers, and this grant will help us do that. And so one update, we have in a collaboration with the Root Cause Research Center. They're partnering with the Texas Freedom Colonies Project to help us create this vision of what the new atlas will look like. We're in the works of coordinating site visits with our partner cemeteries. It'll be a few cemeteries that we'll be working with executing this grant, the research with this grant. And then we're also going to be testing our project action plan within the cemeteries. Not sure how much we're going to share about that, but that is something we're planning on right now, and really wanting to get into the cemeteries with our partner communities is the main priority. And we're actually hoping to get that done in the next month or so.
So just so everyone understands, there's 3 objectives of the National Trust for Historic Preservation Cemetery Grant. First of all, we're working with Root Cause Research Center to develop a new vision, as Jennifer described, and that is a strategic plan for how we improve the Atlas. So we'll have a strategic plan for improving the Atlas, and that plan will also contain the specifications and all the technical language we need to then build that new version of our online presence. So all the things that we talk about with being able to add new layers and having a place for descendants to meet up and talk to each other, and archive profile pages, and all of those things we can't do overnight. So we've asked Root Cause Research Center to develop the strategic plan and give us the roadmap to get that done. We're also going out to the partner cemeteries with 3 specific freedom colonies that we partnered with. And we're going to specifically look at how do we help regular everyday people and descendants identify cemeteries that are in trouble, know what to do when they find a cemetery in trouble, and be able to record that information on a handy mobile tool and send that in to the Atlas so that we can then have reports about the conditions of cemeteries and have that be the basis of an African American cemetery registry. So that's what we're doing. That's what the grant is for. It's to develop the plan, to develop a mobile tool, and to ensure that we are educating our descendants and empowering them on what to do when they encounter or are struggling with cemetery preservation issues. So that's where we are with that. Next.
Thank you, Dr. Roberts. And so the next update, again, our coffee talk. The next coffee talk is in November, and we will be, as you noticed from today's broadcast, obviously we moved up the time a little bit, but the coffee talks will be every 3rd Friday from now on, unless otherwise specified. And the next topic, we're going to be talking about the state of Black churches and the role that they play in Black communities and settlements. So be sure to follow all of our pages to ensure that you are up to date with all the information, and more information will be released soon about next month's talk. The next update, talking about publishing.
Yeah. So what we want to know from you are, and this is just something that we're in talks with different publishers. We're not necessarily interested in taking your information, but we know a lot of you have information that either needs to be scanned and secured, or you have it in a lot of different pieces and you'd like to turn it into a real book, or maybe one of your family members, every year make a nice family reunion book and you'd like to get them all together and bind them and put them in one book. And so we'd like to know from you, if we were to do something like this, is it of interest to you? So again, use our Freedom Colonies Project at gmail.com to get a hold of us, and let us know if you have booklets or genealogical books you need to secure in case of disaster. We want to know, are you worried about or trying to make these books more widely available online, and what your interest is in that? And so before we begin this, we'd really just like to get a lot of feedback from you all about any concerns or your interest in trying to either scan and get help scanning and securing your booklets and genealogical information and support you may want for that, and the type of support you may want. We're not giving it right now, but we're just trying to learn from the public exactly the nature of the support they want to republish and to secure these type of homemade booklets that a lot of you have made. Some are really beautiful. You go to reunions, there's pictures and maybe cemetery graves people have taken pictures of, and bios. And a lot of these just say stacked up in your aunt's, attic, or, stay in a little plastic baggie somewhere. And if something happens, who knows, somebody may just take those and throw them away. So we will really want to know how it is we can best support you all in securing and making sure those things are made available to future generations and not lost. We have hurricanes, we have floods, we have tornadoes, we have all kinds of hazards. And before you know it, that stuff is gone. And we want to help make sure that doesn't happen. So just give us an email or email us, freedomcoloniesproject@gmail.com, and let us know your thoughts about this. Okay.
Absolutely. Yes, we all know about natural disasters. I think everybody has a story in their family of something getting destroyed, and we don't want that to happen. So we want to help you with that. So after all this information, we know it's been a lot today. But again, if you want to join us, if you want to sign up for the Adopt a County campaign, here is the QR code. And also, if you are on Facebook with us right now, we have a link in the comments, so you can go ahead and click the link there and fill out the form. And you can also copy that link and send it if you know somebody who this opportunity is for and they could not get on this morning. Text them the link, let them sign up that way. But yes, we want you to join us. And I know we have a couple of questions.
Before we get to the questions, what is Skylar? I signed up for Adopt a County. Do you have anything for me? What do I get for it?
What do you get for it? So
you get the Freedom Colonies
you will
booklet.
get a booklet, and you also get some note cards from us with more information about Freedom Colonies. In that booklet, a plethora of information. I believe our students from previous class put that together. So that is, and
they can see it. I'm showing it to you right now. Or trying.
Yeah, look in Dr. Roberts in Dr. Roberts Square.
Trying to put it up here. Oops.
We'll put a screenshot of the cover in the comments as well, so everybody can see it. But there's so much information that is shared in that booklet, priceless.
Yeah, I mean, just to give you an example why this booklet is useful, people often ask us, hey, I don't know, I found X, Y, and Z. Is it a freedom colony or not? Then we send them, was it founded between 1865 and 1930? Is it church or it's school? Do you have any evidence there's population? People still say, well, I don't know, I don't know, I don't know. This booklet is to help you. It's a small, thin booklet that you could even put in your pocket or your purse. I mean, you could have it in your car. You could have it with you and say, let me see here. And it has a list of every freedom colony that already has a historical marker. Done. If there's already a National Register district, it's in this book. If it's not in this book, we'll add it in a new version, but we have a little reading list and we have information about what freedom colonies look like, how to find them, how to know what you're looking at. Done right here. So if you signed up for Adopt a County, you get to be one of the first people that gets a physical copy of these. So we're not just distributing these everywhere yet. You got to sign up for Adopt a County to be a crew member, captain, or some way, and we'll get a physical copy out to you.
Yes, and we will be in contact with those who have signed up already and who are going to sign up to reach out and get your address to get that sent out to you. So be on the lookout for an email from us. Thank you. So yeah, as I said, we have some questions already. The first question, do you mind talking a bit about how the research efforts have been tailored due to COVID? Which we kind of mentioned that just a little bit. And Dr. Robbie, do you want to take this one or okay?
Yeah, I think Coffee Talk has been an important way that we stay in contact. One of the most important things to understand about Texas Freedom Colonies Project is that we, of course, get some support from Texas A&M University. Most of our work is grant supported and fellowship supported. thanks to the donations, or not donations, but rather the Whiting Foundation, I'm a public engagement fellow. They've made money available, which funded over the summer the work of so many of our students to work on the Adopt a County project. So we're all working from our houses and not able to go out into the field, but we've been doing a lot of YouTubes. We've done YouTubes with, we were guests on Juneteenth and partnered with the Gregory Lincoln, the Gregory School in Houston, and did a joint Juneteenth event online. So we've really been moving towards doing the YouTube work to make sure we're staying in touch with the public. We have a lot of meetings with our partners on a regular basis to say, hey, what's going on with you? What are your needs? What are you working on? So that's the ways that it's been changed, is simply we're not out in the field. We so love to go out and do demonstrations and drive down back roads and go see people. And while we still drive around and look at things, we are not really in a position to go out and take any chances of exposing anybody to anything. So a lot of what we've been doing has been through Zoom meetings, through phone calls, and always social distance, even if we drive out to individual events, and doing a lot of public speaking. I myself do public speaking. Our other members of our team do public speaking with various groups who we then examine opportunities to do research with. So we still survey. We still do a lot of analysis of the data that we have in the Atlas. And we participate in conferences, which have all moved online. So Skylar has been participating in Vernacular Architecture Forum and Southeast Society of Architectural Historians conferences. We've been writing and publishing. She's got a piece coming out soon in Platform about homesteads, African-American homesteads in Texas and Oklahoma. And so we've got a lot of exciting work going on. We've got research going on about comparison between how you develop databases here in Texas and how that can inform putting together cemetery databases in Louisiana. And that's something that Jennifer is spearheading. So we're doing a lot as much as we can from our desks. And from the phone and through Zoom and that way. Jennifer, you want to say more, or Skylar?
No, I was just gonna say, yeah, we take the pandemic very seriously here, because a lot of the people that we talk to are elderly and are older, and they're very at high risk. And so yeah, just because one aspect of our research has kind of halted a little bit, as the old folks say, one pony don't stop the show. So we gotta keep publishing.
Yes. That's right.
Publishing and writing and focusing on the things that we can do to advance the project. Absolutely. So I think we had one more question here. We have a viewer that says, I'm involved in a project building family trees for individuals interned at historic African American cemeteries. Is there a place for us to support the Adopt a County campaign? Yes. Yes, for sure. I can elaborate on this, or you want to?
Go ahead, Skylar.
Yeah, if you go ahead and fill out our sign-up form, we definitely, as we said before, cemeteries are a huge platform for us to identify freedom colonies and identify early settlers of freedom colonies. And so, yes, please reach out to us, join the campaign, and we can definitely find a place. We know there's a place for you here at the Adopt a County campaign.
And I'd like to add, within organizing the data that our Adopt a County members will be working with, we have it organized by feature type. So if working with cemeteries is your game, then you can, in your group, when you're organizing, you can say, hey, I volunteer to work in the cemeteries feature type. So you can absolutely work on that section.
Awesome.
Absolutely. This is the thing to understand about freedom colonies. Very often, the only thing you have left is what's called the body archive, that tells you the stories of the leaders of the community and who helped nurture the community, who helped teach the children, who helped grow the families, who had businesses, who was a deacon in the church. who had a small business, who was the candy lady after church. You know, all of those stories are in the body archive, and that's the cemetery. And so the hard work of the Texas Freedom Colonies Project is, though we're focused on places, the stories of these places are often in the dead, in our loved ones that have passed on. And so it's integral that you bring your interest in cemeteries in your particular county or communities that you work in to the Texas Freedom Colonies Project. That's what we're all about. So you're like, is there a place for us? We are the place for that. That's what we do. So we need you.
Yep.
Absolutely. I believe that is those are all the questions that I am seeing in the comments. Again, this doesn't stop now. So if you guys have more questions about what we talked about today, please put them in the comments. Just because we end the stream doesn't mean this ends the conversation. So that's all I have.
Yeah,
Follow
Kendall,
us.
could you just double check that they're not questions just one more time?
Make sure to follow us on all of our social media platforms, Facebook, Instagram. Make sure you have our email here, freedomcoloniesproject@gmail, to participate in the collaborative photo contest, and yeah, just connect with us. So here's that. And again, the link to sign up for Adopt a County is in the comments of this broadcast, and we'll also continuously post it on our page. So make sure you follow our Facebook page.
So just to understand our next steps today is, number one, we're going to get this video, and it's going to be on our YouTube page as well as our Facebook page. So you can pass it on. If someone says, girl, I didn't have time, I was at work, I couldn't watch it. Well, that's fine. I'll send you the link to the video. Send the link to the video out, share it. So that's step one for everybody who's watching today. Step two is sign up. Say, I may not want to be a captain, but maybe I want to be a crew member. Sign up for Adopt a County. Then our next step will be to follow up with you and give you some dates for an orientation on your first projects in your groups. So we'll be following up to let you know when your orientation is, and some orientation dates, as well as your assigned Facebook community group, so you can start meeting. And during that orientation, we'll then talk about your first projects, which will be working with the data. So that's the steps. We've given you a lot of the information, but big picture, you watch all this and go, okay, so what happens next? You need to share, 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 and then send your email, follow up, follow up, follow up. And then we will share with you your next steps, orientation and first projects. In the meantime, you've got all these cool ways to talk to us, to learn about us. If those of you are in academia, you can search any of our names, or Texas Freedom Colonies Project, and find our articles. And online, we've just put out an article on Medium for the regular public about why we do what we do here. So stay in touch. You can find us, you can talk to us. And thank you so much for joining us today. Anything else, Skylar or Jennifer?
That's it.
Yeah, I think that's it.
All right. Thanks, everybody. Have a good one.